Welcome everyone, I am Deidra, and this is Tales from the Red Dragon Inn on Tabletop Simulator. Uh, this recently came up on my feed on Facebook. The people that made the Red Dragon Inn series are doing a Kickstarter for Tales from the Red Dragon Inn. For those who are not familiar with either of the series, the Red Dragon Inn was essentially a multiplayer free-for-all card game where you play as various characters, adventurers, that were coming back from an adventure, and essentially you were fighting for the last end room. At least that's what I remember from the base game. It had multiple expansions as well as add-on characters and all sorts of things. It's a pretty fun game. I fortunately haven't played it very much recently because it's a multiplayer game. But one of the things I was interested in, and apparently a lot of other people was what do these adventures actually do during an adventure? And so that's what this particular game is going to be kind of revealing. So this game is actually a cooperative dungeon crawler. This is on Tabletop Simulator, as I mentioned, and the developers made this, so it's completely legitimate. Obviously, there's artwork that's missing. This is very much still a work in progress. But it comes with 3 scenarios. The first one, of course, being very essentially a tutorial, and then the rest of them actually have difficulty levels and things like that. And then the game itself also kind of each of the scenarios will also balance based off the number of players. Essentially, you can play this game as 1 to 4 players. If you do play this as 1 player, you are expected to just pick 2 characters and just control both of them. Otherwise, it's just every player will control 1 character. With that, I'm going to go ahead and dive right into this. I did watch some videos by the developers on the rules of this game, and then I watched some other videos to kind of clarify some rulebook stuff. Like I said, this game is very much in a work in progress. That includes the rulebook. The page on Steam, on the Steam Workshop, actually has a bunch of links to the various rules and clarifications. So if you have any confusion, I definitely recommend looking at those links. Even with that, I still had to look up a video on some of the things it does. But after that, I kind of got, for the most part, the gameplay loop itself is actually very, very simple. So with that, I am going to be playing this by myself, but I am going to pick 3 characters. The main thing to note about if you're picking, if you only have 2 characters, you actually use 2 initiative tokens, which we'll talk about initiative tokens in a bit. But if you're playing 3 characters or more, you actually only use 1 initiative token. So that's just kind of the rebalance to make sure you have enough, actions to deal with the encounters. Anyway, there is story in this game, so I'll go ahead and quickly try to go through that. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just do it here. All right, so this is the Danger Room Debacle. It's late at night at the Red Dragon Inn. The winch calls for last orders as many of the guests start heading up to their rooms or out into the streets. It's in a small office upstairs. Warthorn Redbeard, the dwarven proprietor, gets an early start on counting the day's take, admiring the glint of gold in the candlelight. Your band of famed adventurers remains at your table, as you usually do this at this time of night. Some of you are slumped over in your chairs, sent temporarily to oblivion by 1 too many drinks or dances with Gog. Others, like the Winch and Whizgill, who burned through their small stashes of coins hours ago, are paying off their tabs by bringing bottles of wine and ale up from the cellar. Fiona, Zot, and Gurky are still awake, more or less, playing what looks like to be a final round of gambling of the night. You can't win, says Gurky, plucking a gold piece off of his mountainous hoard and throwing it into the ante. I raise. Pookie sticks his head out of Zot's sleeve and favors Gurky with an angry expression as the wizard scans his cards. Gurky grins back, trying not to break into a sweat as the tips of the rabbit's innumerable teeth poke out past his fuzzy lips. Well, says Zot, it seems like the only thing I can do is... Then he points dramatically over Gurky's shoulder. What's going on over there? Or sorry, what's going on over? Nothing's going on over there, says Gurky, leaning back in his chair. I'm not falling for it. And yet, despite not falling for it, Gurky does hear the pitter-patter of both booted and bare feet running up from behind. Since he knows better than to let random people walk or run up behind him, Gurky turns around just as Whiskill and Wrench race breathlessly up to the table. By the time he turns back around, Fiona has leaned across the table and taken a peek at the 5 dragon cards in his hand. Seriously, Gurky? She says, raising an eyebrow. There's 3 dragons in a deck. It's like you're not even trying anymore. Well, says Gurky, I'm actually trying a little known rules variant where Ridge slams down his toolbox in the middle of the game, scattering the ante. We need help, he says, luminous eyes darting. We're trying to help Warthorn out, but I think we made a mistake. What? Said Fiona. You break some bottles or something? Yes, says Wrench before shaking his head, but that's not the biggest problem. What he's trying to say, interrupts Whiskill, is that something's wrong with our new danger room. You feel the entire inn shudder, as if struck by a catapult stone, and a gout of black smoke erupted from the cellar entrance. Glasses shimmy off the tables and shatter on the flagstones. The wench, annoyed but graceful, negotiates the minor quake without spilling a drop from her fully laden tray. What the hell was that? Shouts Fiona. And what the heck is a danger room? We were working extra down in the cellar, yeah? Says Wrench. Trying to build this artifice thing with combat constructs and wingalingers and spin blades and stuff, so that novice adventurers could face off against them and hone their fighting skills. We thought it would be a good way to attract the type of clientele that Warthorn is always looking for, adds Whiskill. Mostly the reason we've been on bottle duty these past couple of months is so we have better access to the cellar, so that we can finish it and surprise him. Another tremor rocks the inn. A strange rhythmic chiming sounds begins to issue from the cellar. You know, says Gurky, I'm pretty sure he's going to be surprised. Yeah, we know. Wrench looks over his shoulder. We were almost finished, but there was a short in the system, and now the danger room is powering up, and we can't turn it off. Zop purses his lips. How long do we have until it's fully powered up? Something in the basement falls over, crashes, and explodes. Amidst the din, you hear the unmistakable sound of unseen constructs whirring to life. Whiskill looks down at the floor. According to my calculations, about 10 seconds ago. Pookie is already across the room and down the cellar stairs in a flash. Zot stands up, arcane power flowing from his hands. Make sure whatever's down there doesn't come up here. We'll try to get the rest of them sober, or at least awake. We'll be right behind you. There's even a video that kind of has a bit of animations for that for the story for the first scenario. In any case, scenario setup. Place the map in the middle of the table. Place a total of 6 rebel tokens, 1 on each of the red and blue door icons on the map. This was already done for me at the start of this module. Hero preparation for this scenario. Our heroes are at the tail end of a rough and rowdy night at the Red Dragon Inn and are ill prepared for a fight. Each player chooses a hero, and each hero begins the game with a set loadout. And then notes for Tabletop Simulator. It is the layout at the top of the table. So simply grab everything and drag it down. If you are playing with 3 to 4 players, delete the bonus initiative token for your hero. You will not be needing it. So I'm just going to put these in the trash because we will not be using them. You know it's the extra one because it has a plus icon. Okay. And then objective, deactivate the automatons by completing each room's objective. Lose condition, if any hero is defeated, all heroes lose. And then it has some additional stuff about features. Traps. Traps trigger when a figure moves onto them. Triggering this trap removes it from the board and deals 3 damage to the figure that moved onto its space. Remember that a figure leaping over a trap does not trigger it unless they end their movement on it. Barrels are difficult terrain. These spaces are difficult to move through and cost an additional movement to enter, not to leave it. This cost has no effect on leap and force movement. Force movement would be like something like pushing or pulling an enemy. Pillar impassable. These block line of sight. Pretty standard stuff. You can't move into them. And then rebels are also impassable and you can't shoot through them. But these have special rules when the scenario gets done. And with that, we go to the first sting. Do I need to place any characters yet? Doesn't say so yet, so I'll just keep going. Alright, the Gauntlet storeroom. Wrench and Whizgill have enthusiastically filled the storeroom with pointy objects and automatons to wield them. Guess it's time for a good old-fashioned melee. So here's the deployment. You can 1 to 2 players, 3 players, and 4 players. Depending on the number of players, it will affect what sort of things you get. So 4 players obviously will give you 4 gizmoblins, and then the rest of them give you less gizmoblins and at least 1 or 2 traps. All right, and then there's the objective phase, which is letting it just, whenever you're checking for the objective is to kill all enemies in the room. And then once it's completed, you remove the rubble tokens, so you can proceed into the next room. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and place our characters. I haven't really gone over the characters that are available. In the actual card game, there's like a gajillion characters now. But essentially what we have here is, it looks like it's a mix. It's essentially the 4 base characters from the very, very beginning of the base game, and then it has 2 characters from the first expansion, it looks like. But your choices, of course, is you have Gurky the Rogue, who's a halfling. You got Gog the, I think he's an orc. I don't know if he's half orc or not. But he's essentially a fighter or a barbarian type. We've got Zot, who's a wizard, who comes with Pookie, who's this little bunny that has its own special mechanics. Each of the characters have their own abilities, as well as some of them have unique mechanics. In the case of Zot, he has Pookie, who apparently can go a bit angry, to say the least. You got Deidra, who's the priestess. In the card game, she was very much known for her healing abilities and stuff like that. In fact, she was pretty good character as far as the tier list was concerned. In this game, she's a little less focused on healing and more focused on being like a battle cleric. And they made that, the designers made that on purpose, because just sitting back and being a healer was actually kind of boring in this game. So they decided to make her more of a battle cleric. We got Eve, who's an illusionist. And so she has actually her own mechanic involving spawning illusions. For this setup, illusions are figures friendly to heroes and are treated as though they were heroes by other abilities and schemes. Eve may remove her illusions from the map at any time. This includes during the resolution of an ability that would place a new illusion. The maximum number of illusions that can be on the map is currently just 1, unless she's wounded, in which case there's 2. The other thing you can do with illusions is your allies can actually move into the space that an illusion occupies, and if that happens, it'll dispel the illusion. And then we got Fiona, who is a fighter. That much I do know. Human fighter, and she has no special mechanics. She's a fighter. All right, I'll do my best to keep up with some of the keywords in this game. Like I said, I've played through this scenario once and then watched a bunch of videos to confirm some rules. And we'll be kind of going with that. So I'm going to put Deidra up here. Our starting location is right here, of course. There's 4 spots. Obviously, one of those spots is not going to be used. Also, I'm going to put the initiative tokens over here, because this bag is the initiative bag. We got Fiona over here. All right, so we'll put Eve there, we'll put Deidra there, and we'll put Fiona here. Okay. Yeah, in the actual game, they're going to be using figures. The physical board game, it'll have figures. One of the developers was pretty much just like, yeah, I don't know enough about Tabletop Simulator to import miniatures. So we're using standees for now. All right, so as far as the setup, we have 3 players. So we got B, C, and D have gizmoblins, and we have a trap that does 3 damage on A. So we've got trap tokens here. And the way they keep track of what the trap does is they put a damage token on it. So here's a 3 damage token on the trap to show that it's a trap that does 3 damage when it triggers. And then the way we handle the gizmoblins, there are 5 gizmoblins, and then there are 5 cards here. And what we do here is we shuffle and then draw 3 cards. So in order, we do this in order as far as how the placement goes. So 2 is going to go on to B. 3 is going to go on to C. And then 1 is going to go on D. Oops, sorry. My mouse has been always acting up as far as clicking is concerned. All right, and then once you get that done, you put them in order just so you can have the, because when you do the initiative, it goes by number and order. All right, or doing turn order rather. And we're gonna go ahead and include this die here. So the way the AI works in this game is it's completely random. This one has two different AI actions it can do, essentially a series of actions it can do, and essentially it's gonna roll and decide which one it does every turn. All right. Also, they have their own initiative token, which is going to be a blue token. All right. With that, we are ready to start. So with that, we go to the ready phase. Everyone will remove one cooldown marker on each ability card. We just started, so we don't actually have any cooldowns. I'll go more into the cards and abilities in a bit. Then we roll a scheme dice for every NPC. The only NPCs we have are Gizmoblins, so all we need to do is roll this purple die. Just like in all the games I play, I'm just going to hit the R key once and let Tabletop Simulator handle all the randomness. Okay, so it's 1. So just to put note there, it's going to be doing those actions this round. All right, and then create the initiative bag. So we take all the tokens here and just throw them in here. Supposedly it auto shuffles, but I always just shuffle it once just to be safe. All right, and then we go straight into the turns. So the way the combat phase works is draw an initiative token from the bag and activate the indicated characters. Repeat this step until the last token is drawn. All right, so first token is the enemies. Okie dokie. So we go in order, so we're going to start with 1. So all of them are going to do the same AI step. They're going to be doing 1 through 3 here. Error, menacing, taunt not found. So move 2, and it says nearest movement foe. So one of the things I really like about this game is when it talks about nearest and farthest, it'll always be associated with an icon. So in the case of this, it's going to be referencing based off movement. If it has an arrow, it'll be based off like a range attack instead, which is really helpful. In any case, the Gizmoblin's going to go ahead and move towards the nearest foe, which is going to be, of course, us. It can't move into the same tile or the hex as Gizmoblin 3 here, so it's going to just go 1, 2, and then it's going to make a melee attack for 1 damage on 1 foe, and if it does damage, it will push that target. No one's in melee range, so it's not going to do anything. All right, so we go to 2 next. 2 is going to move. It will move around the trap, and then obviously it's out of range. And then the last one is going to move forward, and that's it. So not too bad. It would have been a lot worse if we had rolled 4 to 6, because these include range attacks and being hit with traps. It would have been a really, really painful start. All right, with all that said and done, that is it for the Gizmoblins. So we're going to go ahead and draw the next token. All right, we got Eve. All right, so what you can do with on your turn is you can do 2 actions and 1, what's it called? Sorry, I forgot the term. 1 shenanigan. So you can do 2 actions and 1 shenanigan. Shenanigans are kind of like quick actions or something like that, or those type of things. So yes, or minor actions, I think is another term for them. So essentially, we can do 2 regular actions and do 1 shenanigan. We don't really have any shenanigans. There's also some that get triggered by reactions. So as you can see here, it'll tell you what each of these require. All Eve has is actions, and then this thing here is a reaction. Everything on the character card, you might notice, has a little hourglass with a 0. These actions are based off the character, and they can be used pretty much infinite number of times as long as you have the actions to fuel them. And then down here you have ability cards or skill cards, and these ones tend to be a lot more powerful, but they usually have an associated cost to them. In the case of Eve, both of them have a cooldown of 4. If we were to activate these abilities, we would add cooldown tokens to these cards, and then we can't use them until all the cooldown tokens have been removed. So that was the whole thing about removing cooldown markers during the ready phase. And then we have 1 item. Anything that's a gold kind of yellow background are masterwork items. And then there's another type of item that are considered minor items. Whenever you go on an adventure, you usually will be able to bring one masterwork item and one minor. For this scenario, it was hard-coded what our starting gear was, so we just start with this one item. The little icon here with the scroll kind of crumbling away, that represents discarding. So to use this crystal shot glass, whenever I make an attack, I can, after I roll damage, I can add an additional 1 damage to the attack, and at the cost of discarding this. When it's discarded, it's gone for the entire encounter, for the rest of the scenario. All right, hopefully that was somewhat clear. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So I can take 2 actions, essentially. One of them lets me move, which is always nice. The other one's is ability to place an illusion, and then another one, then perform a melee strike. I also have this ability here, which lets me attack multiple foes and weaken them. What weaken does is it'll reduce the amount of damage they inflict on an attack by 1 for just that one attack. And then this attack here hits 1 target at range and then makes them move 4 spaces. So with all that said and done, I think... So I'm not sure about the drawing of line of sight in this game because hexes are weird. And unfortunately this game does not have snapping. So I don't know if that... I guess that's line of sight there if I want to count it. I do have movement, and when I move I can move 1 other illusion. Currently I have no illusions on the board. So I think I am probably going to move first. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and move first. Go 1, 2, 3. So the movement action is here. Allows me to move up to 4 spaces. Now moving into yellow hexes costs an additional movement, so it was 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to here. And what I'm going to do is make a range 4 attack. I think I'm going to go ahead and activate Look Into My Eyes. So when that activates, I'm going to need to grab a bunch of these. Luckily these stack, so I'm just going to stack them up for me. Oop. Yeah, my mouse, for whatever reason, when I drag, will decide to just release and re-click for some reason. So I can attack 1 foe within range 4. Now, when making a range attack, you don't have to worry about enemies blocking you. You can attack anything you want. So I'm going to attack the Gizmoblin in the back. What it says here is I roll 1 yellow die. And then afterwards, I can move that target for movement. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and roll this die. Don't count that roll, please. Like I said, I'm always going to hit the R key. All right, so the way yellow dice work is they're yellow dice. They have a bunch of icons on them. This side here is a critical hit. The black burst represents damage, and then the exclamation mark represents inspires. We'll talk more about that as we hit them. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this 1 yellow die here and see how much we can do. These dice, you will do a minimum of 1 damage and a maximum of 2 damage, or you'll crit. Okay, so that's 1 damage and 1 inspire. So it's going to do 1 damage. We'll grab a damage token. Okay, my mouse is just not being nice. So this is Gizmoblin 1. So it's going to get 1 damage token. So it's taking 1 damage. These things have 6 health. And then the inspires, the way they work is if the number of inspires you get on the attack exceeds the number of fate, if it exceeds the number of dice in your epic pool, you add a black die to the epic pool. So we take 1 of these black dice and add it to the epic pool. Now the epic pool is something you can use as a reaction. You can either use it as you can either spend them. You can spend any number of black dice in your epic pool to either empower your attack, which you have to declare at the start of your attack, in which case you get to roll a black die, which potentially has anywhere from 2 to 3 damage, or it could crit. And essentially it just lets you do more damage. And then, or you can empower your defense, which is lets you reduce the amount of damage you take by 2 for every die removed. You don't have to roll for it. Now, one thing to note is if you make an attack using an epic dice or a black die, your inspires won't count. So you can't just use your epic dice, do a bunch of damage, and then get a bunch of dice back. All right. So with that being said, one other thing to note is now that we have 1 dice here, if we were to roll the same result again, we would not get another die because it would not exceed the number of dice we have in our epic pool. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. So with that, I still need to do the second part of my ability, which is make the target move 4 spaces. So conveniently, I'm going to make this move onto the trap, which will trigger, and I'll do 3 damage to it. So now it has 4 damage, and this trap goes away. And then I'm going to have it go to here, so it's adjacent to me. All right, I've already moved. Actually, we'll move it here, actually. We'll keep it, yeah, I'll keep it there. All right, with all that said and done, that is it. I've done 2 actions. I don't have any shenanigans, so that is it for Eve. So next character, it's going to be Deidra. So Deidra does have a shenanigan. Her shenanigan is actually her graceful step, which lets her move 4. So I'm going to go ahead and activate that first and move 4 spaces. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. Say hello to these guys. So her item is a reaction. It's a reaction whenever she's attacked. It can reduce the damage she takes by 2. She does have an attack that does just 1 die. It's ranged and it can push a target 1 step. We didn't really talk about Invigorate. What Invigorate does is it will reduce your cooldowns by the value. So Invigorate 1 means you reduce all your cooldowns by 1. All right. So with that said, she does also have 2 other abilities. One of them has 3 energy tokens or 3 charges on it. The way these work is that you can activate it to remove a charge on it, and once it's out of charges, you can't use it. So this has limited uses. So something to note. This here has a burst attack where you roll 2 yellows and the formation that's like this. So essentially, it hits where I have it set up here is it'll hit like this. So it'll hit all the targets here. It won't hit allies as far as I know. And then something to note about it is if you ever successfully deal damage, which in most cases you will, you can let's see, if you do damage to at least 1 foe, you or a friend at range 2 gain a shield token. So shield tokens, what they do is whenever you get attacked, you can choose to discard a shield token to reduce the amount of damage you take by 2 for every shield token removed. All right. So with all that said and done, I just did my shenanigan. So I have 2 actions left. I am going to go ahead and activate Take Hope, my friends. We shall prevail. Just give me 1 second to make sure that burst doesn't harm allies. Okay, it was pretty clear. It says specifically foes. So we're going to need some time tokens again. Or cooldown tokens, rather. Put that on there. We roll 2 yellows now. If I want to, I can also roll this shenanigan die. Or not shenanigan die, but epic die. I am going to go ahead and do that. It will apply to all units being hit. So I'm attacking a wounded Gizmoblin and then a fresh one. So I'm going to roll all 3 of these dice. Okay, so what this is a crit. If you roll a crit, the way it works is you re-roll that die. First of all, it counts as 1 damage, and then you re-roll the die. So right now I'm at 4 damage. Inspires don't matter because I used an epic die. So I'm at 4 damage, and then I need to re-roll this. Okay, and that adds another 2. So we did a total of 6 damage, which is going to kill this Gizmoblin. And this one, because they only have 6 health. And since I did successfully do damage, I can give either herself or somebody or someone within range 2 a shield token. I'm going to go ahead and give it to herself. So now she has a shield token. All right, we killed 2 Gizmoblins. I'm going to go ahead and I have 1 more action left because my movement was a shenanigan. I am going to go ahead and... Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do Divine Strike. So it's going to roll 1 yellow die, and I can choose to push it away from me 1 step. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this yellow die here. I'm going to move these dice out of the way. Okay, we get Inspire, so we get this die back, and it does 1 damage to it. Okay, and then I get to push 1. Now the way pushing works is it has to be away from me. So I can't push it this way because I'll actually not push it away. But I can push it this way, so I'll push it towards Fiona here. And with that, that is it for Deidra, so it's going to go to Fiona, because Fiona's the last character. Alright, so with that, so her thing is, her move action actually has more movement than everyone else. She can move 5. Her power attack does 2 yellow, and it can do Splash. What Splash does is it will do 1 damage to adjacent foes to the target, but not the target that you're hitting. Right? And then she has a bunch of actions as well. She can move and attack with this fight I'm in. And then she has an attack, melee attack that will heal herself, essentially, if she does damage. And then she has a pot lid, which reacts to being attacked, where she can reduce damage taken. And that's pretty much it for her. I don't really do anything too fancy here, so I'm going to go ahead and just power attack. I'm going to... Yeah, I'm just going to do her regular ability, power attack. So I'm going to roll 2 yellows and see how we do. I'm not going to use the epic dice. Okay, so I got a crit here, so I'm at 2 damage so far. All right, that's 4 damage in total. So with that, puts it at 5 out of 6. And then I'm going to use my other action to attack it 1 more time. All right, that's a crit. I am going to go ahead and roll it again. Okay, so I got 1 Inspire, but that's not enough to get me another die. Easily enough, I did more than enough damage to finish off that Gizmoblin, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. And that is all Gizmoblins. Now, the scenario's not done. I'm going to go ahead and end my turn, because there's nothing else I can do with Fiona. And that was it for the combat phase. Now we go to the objective phase, and now we check to see if we accomplished the objective, which was just kill all of the enemies, which we did. So with that, we go ahead and remove the 3 Rebel Terrain tokens, which were right here. And then we set up the next area, which is the Maze of Madness. Warthorn is not going to be a fan of the creative reorganization of all his kegs and barrels of ale, which is a far more pressing concern than the iron rods getting launched out of the javelin robots in this room. So with 3 players, we get Gizmoblins in A, B, D, F, and G, and then we get traps in C and E. And then same thing as before, defeat all the enemies. So with that, we'll go ahead and borrow this trap token here. What was it? C and E. So 1 will be here. One will be there. Borrow that damage token. Borrow that damage token. Also, one thing I did forget to do is every time I defeated an opponent, I should have reshuffled their card immediately back into the deck. But we're just going to go ahead and just shuffle it now and handle it. We have, what, 5 Gizmoblins? Yeah, so the only difference between 3 and 4 players is the positions. Okay, so we'll go ahead and shuffle it and then draw an order. Alright, so A is number 1. B is number 2, how convenient. Alright, 4 is next. So 4 is going to go to, let's see, that was B, C, D. 3, which is going to be E, F. And then the last one, of course, is going to be 5 going to G. Alright. I'm going to just move these away a little bit. Okay. And then with that, it's just Gizmoblins again. We do need to roll their... after that, we go straight to... also, it talks about the find and defeat the sparking engine, which is just talking about the final objective, I guess. In any case, we'll need to roll the... Well, first we need to do cooldowns. So we need to remove a cooldown from that ability and that ability. Okay. Then roll scheme die. So we'll go ahead and roll that. Okay, 6 this time. So now it's going to be doing the air dispensing non-lethal trap. And then we create the initiative bag just like before. Okay. I'll hit shuffle just in case. And then we get started. So combat phase, first character is going to be Fiona. Alright. So biggest issue right now is actually really far away from everything. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, yeah, I can get next to some of these, but that's about it. I actually can't do much beyond that. The big danger is, of course, these things move. This Gizmoblin here can potentially attack us, but there's not much I can do about that. Let's see. They only move 2 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the movement. Doing her on the move. And then after that, I'm probably just going to let the action go to waste. Because I don't want to actually go any closer. So with that, it's going to go straight to the next character, which is Gizmoblins. I'm glad I didn't rush, else I would have been really in a lot of pain. Alright, Gizmoblin 1 is going to move 2 spaces towards nearest foe. So 1, 2. Then it's going to make a ranged attack against one foe, range 4. It's going to do 1 damage, and if it successfully does damage, it's going to place a 3 damage trap adjacent to the target. So essentially what the AI is going to do here is it would attack Deidra. If it successfully sets a trap, it can place a trap anywhere adjacent. The AI is smart enough to put traps underneath Eve, so it would immediately trigger and do 3 damage to her. So it's going to shoot. It's going to do 1 damage. There's no rolls. It's just whatever's listed. I am going to go ahead and use the shield token, though, to negate the damage. And since it did 0 damage, it won't trigger the trap. It won't spawn a trap. Alright, that's number 1 taken care of. Now we go to 2. So 2 is going to move closer. It will move in a smart way, so it's just going to move that around the terrain. 3 is here. It's just going to move 1 space because obviously the terrain. 4 is going to move... Well, either way it's going to suck. So just move 1 space forward. And then 5 is going to go 1 space forward. Okay. So with that, that is it for Gizmoblins. Now next character is Eve. So Eve is going to go ahead and get her actions. We will go ahead and... I think we're going to go ahead and just start moving forward. So with that, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put us here. And remember, leaving difficult terrain doesn't cost anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and activate her. Oh, are you blinded? Do you hate it? Poor things. So this will hit 2 targets for 2 yellow dice, and it will weaken each of them. So with that, we're going to get 4 cooldown tokens. I will say, as far as the board layout is concerned, I definitely, if this is a game I'm going to continue playing, I probably want to reorganize it. In any case, we'll do our damage. I'm going to go ahead and use the black die on Gizmoblin 1. Actually, it targets both of them, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I'll go ahead and just roll it and see how we do. Okay, does a total of 4 damage to each of them. So we're going to need to borrow... Okay, and this was number 1 and number 4. So 4. Stupid mouse. They don't build mice like they used to. They never last anymore. Jeez, gosh, come on. So yeah, what it's doing is for a brief second, it's releasing my mouse and then re-clicking. And that's really messing me up. In any case, it did 4 damage. It did have an Inspire, but I did use a black die, so it doesn't matter. And then it gets a Weaken on both of them. And what that does is next time they attack, they remove all their Weaken tokens, and each token removed will reduce their damage by 1. So essentially, these two will not be able to set traps or pushes away for one turn at least. All right, that is it for Eve. I'm not going to do any extra damage with Crystal Shot Glass because it's not going to kill anything. So I'm going to go ahead and call it good here. I haven't spawned any illusions yet. I will be soon at this rate, though. With that, it now goes to Deidra. All right, Deidra is going to Graceful Step for 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to go ahead. Is there any way I can get... No, there's no way I can get line of sight on that one. But... Okay, I think I can make this work. So my focus here is I'm going to... I think I'm going to leap first. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do Wings of Alana, Lambast My Foes, which is going to use up one of these charges. So there's 2 charges left on it. So I leap 2, which is essentially like normal movement, except I go over the terrain essentially, and it could go over traps, and it could go over figures. And it's going to do a yellow +1 damage to 2 foes. Oh, it's melee. That might be a problem then. Never mind. That's not going to help me. Yeah, it's not going to help me. All right. So with that, I might just Invigorate twice. I mean, I could. I mean, the other option is I can at least get rid of the Gizmoblins. At least one Gizmoblin. Yeah, this thing will melee up to 2 foes, so I don't exactly want to waste it. So yeah, I think I will go ahead and just do Divine Strike. Target the Gizmoblin 1. Roll a yellow die. Okay. We do 1 damage and get a black die. And then for my second action... So that was what, Gizmoblin 1? Yep, Gizmoblin 1. I can also choose to push it, but I'm not going to. It says may, so I don't have to. I mean, I can push it back 1, but it's not going to do anything. And then my second action is I'm going to do Divine Strike again. Okay, does another 1 damage, which will finish it off. So that's 1 Gizmoblin down. Come on. Again, it's doing that double click, so it's undoing my selection. All right, that is end of round. So with that, we're going to go ahead and check the objective phase. Monsters are still on the board, so we have not completed the objective. Remove cooldowns from each ability card. 1, 2. 1. Okay. So those are resolved. Then it goes roll scheme dice. Okay, again, it's going to be the same thing as before. And then set up the initiative bag. Shuffle. And then draw. Okay, Eve goes first. Okay, so both of Eve's special abilities are on cooldown, unfortunately. But that's okay. What we can do is I'm going to move to here, and I'm going to go ahead. That's my bewildering strut, and then I'm going to do Phantom Punch. So I'm going to place illusion within 2 range of her, which I'm going to put right here, and then I'm going to melee attack the Gizmoblin 4. So with that, I'm going to roll a yellow plus a +1 damage. Okay, do 3 damage, which is going to finish it off. So the weakens were real well. I mean, the main reason I did the previous attack was to hit 2 foes at once. But the other reason I did it was to make sure if they did go first next round, 2 of them would not be able to place traps, or at least hurt me. All right, so that's Gizmoblin 4 dealt with. Okay, that is it for Eve. Now it goes straight to Gizmoblins again. All right, they've been going first. They've gone first, second, and then second so far. All right, so we go in order. So we start with Gizmoblin 2. It's going to move towards nearest foe, which is going to be this illusion, so it just stays in place. It's going to go ahead and shoot the illusion so whenever it makes a ranged attack, it will target nearest target. So it's going to target the illusion. It's going to do 1 damage to that illusion. And then it'll place a trap. Anywhere adjacent. Obviously, it'll try not to hurt its allies. I'll place it there. And add a 3 damage token to it. Alright, that's it for Gizmoblin 2. Then it goes Gizmoblin 3, which is going to shoot at same target. So again, 1 damage. Illusions do have 3 health, so this one's still alive. And then it's going to place a trap, just like before. Place 1 right there, because it will not purposely put 1 under its own feet, unless it has to. Alright, and then the last Gizmoblin is going to move 1, 2, and then it's going to shoot at Eve. And unfortunately, Eve doesn't have a way of stopping this, so she's going to take 1 damage. And she too will get a trap nearby. For the most part, the players can decide where to place them, unless there's an opportunity to place it under an ally, in which case it will place it under the ally. Because the AI is at least that smart. We will place the trap here. Okay, trap central all over there. Okay, that is it for Gizmoblins. Goes to the next unit, which is Fiona. Alright, Fiona, do you have any pushes? No, you don't. Okay. So the thing I'm going to do with Fiona is I'm going to move 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll go ahead and I think I'm just going to attack, because there's not much else I can do. So yeah, I'll attack, do power attack. I will go ahead and roll the epic dice that we have to spare. Okay, so right now we're at 4 damage, and 5 damage and a crit. And now it's 6 damage. Inspires don't matter, so I do exactly enough to finish off that Gizmoblin. Okay, that is it for Fiona. And last is going to be Deidra. Alright, also the cards do say how much health we have. Alright, so Deidra, we're going to go ahead and shenanigan. What do you have available? So you can push. Yeah, it's workable. So I'm going to go ahead and do was it Graceful Step? Yep, I'm going to do Graceful Step, which is 4 move. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to shoot, we're going to hit the Gizmoblin here with Divine Strike. So roll 1 yellow die. Okay, 1 damage. And then I'm going to push it 1, which is going to hit this trap, and do another 3. So Gizmoblin 2 is going to take 4 damage in total. Drop the token. There we go. Alright. So I did that much damage so far. I have 1 action left. I am going to go ahead and just shoot it 1 more time. And we'll see how we do. Alright, 1 damage, and it's a crit, so I roll again. It's 2 damage, and I still roll again. Alright, 3 damage and an Inspire. From 1 die, not bad. Okay, that finishes off that Gizmoblin. Alright, that is it for the round. We checked the objective. It's not completed. There's one Gizmoblin left. We're going to go ahead and reduce cooldowns. Alright, and then roll scheme dice. Alright, 5 again. And then make the initiative back. Shuffle. And start again. Deidra goes first. Alright, so Deidra is going to do her graceful step. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then she's going to shoot the Gizmoblin. We're going to do yellow die. Alright, inspire, but I don't have enough to, it's not enough to get another die. I'll do 1 damage, and I'll push into the trap, as long as it's away, which it is. And then for our second action is I'm going to shoot again. So I'll roll the die. Okay, 1 damage, and then I'll push again, which is going to hit that other trap and finish it off. So that's all the Gizmoblin's dead. Now we don't check the objective until the end of the round. So for right now, that's it for Deidra. Goes to Eve. Eve will go ahead and do Bewildering Strut. Let's see, actually, I will have her... Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and have them move. I can do it in either order, so I can have you and up to 1 illusion move 4. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is have this illusion trigger that trap and blow it up. I think that's allowed. Yeah, looks like it. So that will definitely finish off that that illusion. And then I could move her 4. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. And then I'm going to go ahead and activate Phantom Punch. I don't have a target for the attack, but I can at least spawn an illusion. So I'm going to go ahead and spawn an illusion right there. Alright, next is the Gizmoblins, which are dead. And then we go to Fiona. Fiona will move... Oh, sorry, I moved the completely wrong character. I apologize. I don't really remember where I had her. Oh, I think I had her there. So it would have been 1, 2, 3. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry about that. I got the colors mixed up. In any case, for Fiona's turn, I'm just going to move her to there. Alright. And that is end of round. We check the objective. The objective is complete. So we do remove the 3 rebel tokens, so that is what we'll do. And then check the next area. The Room of Doom, Reserve Cellar. Okay, well, that Hulky Monstrosity actually looks dangerous. In the far corner, an Arcano mechanical object is humming away and throwing off bolts of lightning. No off switch like breaking the obvious power supply. So for this, we spawn a Sparking Engine, a Revoker, a Trap, and then 3 Gizmoblins. So we're going to be using all the initiative tokens this time. So Sparking Engine goes on E, which is right there. The Revoker goes on D. We get a Trap on C. And then the rest are Gizmoblins. So we got 3 going on A. 1 going on B. And 5 is going on F. Alright. The objective is either you destroy the Sparking Engine or you defeat everything but the Sparking Engine. So that is going to be our check. Alright, with that we put everything in here. And hit shuffle. Oh, actually, sorry, I completely... I did forget to roll for dice. So I'll do that now. Also, I need to do the cooldowns. So cooldown, cooldown, cooldown. Alright, so I'm going to roll all 3 of these dice. Okay. There's no real reason to roll the sparking engine. 1 through 6, it always does the same thing. Because Moblin's got 5, so they're going to be doing their ranged attack trap nonsense. And then Revoker here is going to move 3 towards nearest a foe and do 3 damage on a melee strike and push 2 if it harms. And then the sparking engine is going to heal and do infinite range 1 damage strikes. Alright, with all that said and done, let's shuffle the bag one more time and then draw. Alright, we get yellow first. So no one's damaged, so it's not going to heal anything. And it definitely has line of sight of something. Alright, so it's going to shoot at nearest target. So it's going to shoot at the illusion. The illusion will take 1 damage. Okay, that is it for Sparking Engine. Of course they go next. Alright, Gizmoblins go next. We'll start with 1. He can't get any closer without 70 on a trap, it looks like. I don't think I can get line of sight with this. No, so it's going to stay in place and just shoot. So yeah, I'll shoot at the illusion, doing 1 damage to it. And then it's going to place a trap underneath Eve, which is going to immediately detonate and do 3 damage to her. So 3 damage to Eve. Alright. Then it's going to go to Gizmoblin 3, which is going to go 1, 2, and then shoot at Fiona. So it's going to do 1 damage to Fiona. I actually am going to go ahead and activate the pot lid and take 0 damage. It'll reduce the damage by 2, and I'm going to take 0 damage, mainly just to make sure it doesn't trigger another trap on Eve. Alright, so with that card's discarded. We can't use it again. Alright, and then the last one's Gizmoblin 5. It's going to go 1, 2. It's going to go ahead and shoot at the illusion, which will kill it. And then a trap's going to be placed underneath of Eve and do 3 more damage to her. So she's at 7 damage out of 8 right now. Okay, next. Okay, Deidra. So Deidra will go ahead and do Graceful Step. 1, 2, 3. It's about as close as I can get. Alright, and then she's going to go ahead and activate Wings of Alana, Lambast My Foes. So I'll use one of the energy charges and then leap 2. So I'll leap over the barrels here. I only have 1 target, unfortunately, but that's okay. And we're just going to smack this thing. I am going to do... I'm seeing if I want to do this. Yellow plus... If I do... I think I'm going to go ahead and use the epic die, just to ensure I kill it. There's a pretty... there's only I think there's only like a 50% chance I can kill it in 1 shot with just the yellow die by itself. So I'll roll both these dice. It's going to be super overkill. Yeah, and then we get the crit die. Crit die. Okay, so that's a total of 6 plus 1 damage, so 7 damage. I also could have pushed it into the trap, but that's fine. We killed the Gizmoblin. I do have 1 action left, but I actually have nothing. I can't really do anything with it. I can Invigorate, but there's nothing on cooldown. So I'm just going to leave it as is. Alright. So that is it for Deidra. Goes to Eve. Alright, so what am I going to do with Eve? Let's see. We do have the ability to move a target. Alright, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to do Bewildering Strut. to here. And then I'm going to shoot at Gizmoblin 3 using Look Into My Eyes. So again, these will be getting a bunch of cooldowns. I can hit one foe within range 4. It'll do 1 yellow die and then move 4. So unfortunately, I only have 1 yellow die for this. All right, and I can choose. Okay, I can choose to use this after I roll, so we can see how it plays. Okay, critical hit, so 1 damage so far. All right, 2. So we're at 2 damage. I am going to go ahead and do Crystal Shot Glass to make it 3 damage. We do get the Inspire. And then I'm going to make it move 4 spaces. And forced movement ignores difficult terrain. So I'm just going to go right onto the trap and kill it. Because that'll do a total of 6. So Gizmoblin 3 is dead. Or destroyed, rather. Alright, and that is it for Eve. Now it goes to Fiona. Alright, so Fiona, what I'm going to do with her is I'm going to go ahead and move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 to here. And say hello to this guy. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just seeing if I could have moved differently. No, there's not really any way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and activate Power Attack. I'm going to target the Gizmoblin. I am going to bring in the black die. So I roll 2 yellows plus black, and it's going to do 1 splash damage to the Revoker. Alright, that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an Inspire, but the Inspire doesn't matter. So I do 5 damage to Gizmoblin 1 and 1 damage to Revoker. So 1 damage, 5 damage. Unfortunately, I have no way of capitalizing on that, so that's going to be it for that. And then last is the Revoker. Revoker is going to move towards nearest foe, which is going to be Fiona, and then it's going to hit her for 3 damage, and then push her for 2. So 3 damage, and it's going to push her away. We will put her up here. Okay. Objective, we haven't finished the objective yet, so now we go to the ready phase. We go ahead and do remove the cooldowns. No one else has cooldowns. Alright, and then roll dice. I'll roll all of them. Okay, so good news is they are doing their regular stuff, which is nice. Alright, so we'll go ahead and set up the bag and draw. Start with Eve first. So I am going to go ahead and move with Eve. 1, 2, 3. And then for her other action, I'm going to go ahead and activate OR You Blinded and target the Revoker and the Gizmoblin. Okay. It's just 1 yellow die. Okay, I do get the Inspire. And then it's going to finish off the Gizmoblin. And then we will get another damage on the Revoker. Okay, and it does get weakened. Okay, and then that is it for her turn. Next is the Sparking Engine. It's going to heal the Revoker for 2. And then shoot, unfortunately, at Eve, which is going to give her 8 damage in total. So if you are fresh and you take enough damage equal to or exceeding your health, what's going to happen is you remove all the damage tokens that's on that character, and then you flip it, and you get a wounded version of the character. So as you can see, it does change some of her effects. So her Phantom Punch is pretty much the same as before, and then she has a lasting impression, which reduces her movement, but now she leaves behind illusions when she moves. And then it has a reaction, which is triggered when she's wounded, which she just did. Your maximum number of active illusions increases by 1. So now she can have 2 illusions active at the same time. And that is it for her. Now, if she takes another 8 damage while wounded, she is defeated. And if any adventurers are defeated in a scenario, it's a game over for everybody. So it's a good idea to make sure you don't let someone fall twice. Alright, so that is it for yellow. Now it goes to Gizmoblins, which are all dead. And then it goes to Fiona. So Fiona is going to go ahead and activate a fight I'm in, which will allow her to move 3 spaces and then make an attack. So we're going to move to here and attack. We'll roll 2 yellows, and I am going to go ahead and include the epic die. And this does have a cooldown of 3, so we get 3 cooldowns. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to roll all these. Okay, Inspire die doesn't matter, but we do a total of 6 damage to it. Yeah, and the Revoker has 15 health, just like the Sparking Engine. Alright, so that was my first action. My second action is actually going to go ahead and... I don't wear all this armor just for defense, which is another attack, and it lets me heal for 1 if I do damage. So, again, another 3 tokens. Going for the wombo combo here. Alright, 2 damage. So we're going to need a 3 damage marker. And then an Inspire. We only get 1, unfortunately, even though we rolled 2. Alright, and then it's going to go to Deidra. So Deidra is going to go ahead and do... she's going to go ahead and do her shenanigan first. Go 1, 2, 3. And then she's going to go ahead and activate Wings of Alana, Lambast My Foes. And go to here, leap, and then attack both of them. I'll use the black die, plus a yellow die, plus 1 damage on top of it. Roll. Okay, so we get 4 plus 1 is 5, so 5 damage to both of them. I could choose to push them if I want to. I'm not going to. And I'm going to go ahead and activate Take Hope, My Friends, We Shall Prevail. Like so. And I can attack in that burst radius. So I'll hit the Sparking Engine and the Revoker. It's going to be 2 yellows, no black die. Okay, 3 damage and a crit. So 3, 4. So 4 damage in total. So that's... That puts us at 7. Yeah, I was at 13. This actually destroys the Revoker, and then the Spark Engine would be at 9. So yeah, making sure that's right. So yeah, we had 5, 10, 13, and then we added another 4 on top of that. So yeah, we definitely destroyed the Revoker. So Revoker has been dealt with. Alright, and then that is it for Deidra. Last is the Revoker, which is already dead. And now we check the objective, which is we destroyed everything but the Sparking Engine. So if all foes except the Sparking Engine have been defeated, someone walks over, pushes the off button, and the players win. Stop here until the objective is complete, then read the conclusion. The last of the strange machines explodes in a shower of sparks, gears, and nauseous black smoke. All around this hidden room inside the Red Dragon Inn's basement, the few constructs that are still functional lurch to a stop or topple face first onto the ale-soaked floor. A lone Gizmo Blinn bravely tries to continue the fight, crawling towards you with its one remaining arm. Danger Room Program Error 404, it says in an electronic voice that becomes gradually slower and quieter. Do you wish to abort, retry, or load a previous battle state? Then the Gizmo Blinn's servo sees and its red eyes go dark. You survey the room. Several barrels broached in the battle continue to disgorge their contents all over the floor. The basement's wooden support columns bear the scars, arrows, scorch marks, and acid etching of the recent pitched battle. Other than that, in the fortune in artifice machinery that has just fallen beneath your mighty blows, the damage is minimal. In the relative quiet following the battle, Pookie splashes across the floor and runs up Zot's robe to sit upon the wizard's shoulder, leaving ale-shaped rabbit prints on Zot's velvety finery. Fiona, apparently because the battle hasn't been finished to her satisfaction, wanders around kicking the constructs in the face. This is going to set us back months, says Wizgill, wrinkling her nose. It's our fault, though. We should have told you to fight the constructs with padded weapons. Oh, says Fiona. I guess that makes sense, but it's not nearly as much fun. Amidst all this, you hear a strange and bubbling fizzing sound coming from the back of the room. Splashing through the ale puddles, you resolve to investigate. What in the gold darn heck is going on down here? Says Warthorn as he comes clomping down the stairs, the puffball on the tip of his nightcap bouncing against a face that is currently as red as his hair. The whiskers of his normally well-maintained beard bristle widely in every direction. I thought you were running bottles and kegs upstairs, not turning the cellar into a mechanical death trap. Look at all this damage here. You've destroyed all my stock. Not all the stock, says Gurky, gesturing theatrically with his daggers at the significant number of lightly damaged barrels. I'd say less than, what do you think, Zot? 15%? Zot merely wrung out the hem of his robes and grumbled. What is all of this even for, anyhow? People come here to drink and unwind, not get attacked by out-of-control whirligigs and foolery. We just wanted to make a training room to attract more guests, says Wrench, nervously wringing the neck of his spanner. It was supposed to be a surprise. So, surprise? That's right, says Wizgill. Even though we caused some damage, I'd say this was a pretty good alpha test of the equipment. Once we make some modifications and track down that short in the wire, we can have it all ready to go, good as new. No, better than new. I think I saw a way to improve the tactical programming of the constructs. Oh, maybe if I added a remote kill switch, that would solve... Oh, for love of Korash, grumbles Warthorn, covering his eyes with the palm of one hand. You adventurers will be the death of me, or the end, or of the end, one or the other. In the silence that follows, the mysterious bubbling and fizzing sounds as if it is both louder and closer. Warthorn takes a deep breath to calm himself. Look, I appreciate the offer and all your hard work. I really do, but I really wish you'd have asked me before. Wardy, says Gurky, pointing to a distant corner of the room. Don't call me Wardy, said Warthorn. Now look, it's late. So why don't you leave off this training room nonsense for now? Tomorrow morning, you lot can ask Olivia for some cleaning supplies, and then... Sorry to keep interrupting, Thorny, says Gurky, gesturing at the corner again. But I was just wondering, is the floor meant to be doing that? You all turned to look at the corner of the room, just in time to watch a large section of the basement floor give way, crashing down into darkness with a thundering boom, taking a rack of ale barrels and several broken construct carcasses with it. What in the bleeding hell is all that? Mutters Warthorn, his face falling. A pack of oozing, multicolored slimes begin undulating over the lip of the huge dark hole and into the basement. They burble and fizzle as they swarm over ale puddles, splintered barrels, and the broken constructs alike. Soon, the back corner of the basement is covered in a shuddering carpet of myriad colors and textures. That's bad, says Deidra. No, that's awesome, says Fiona. I am assuming, says Zot, looking from the advancing slime back to the party's two artificers, that this is not part of the Danger Room's protocols. No, says Wizgill, pulling her goggles down over her eyes. No, it's not. Right then. Some of us are going to have to force these slimes back into the hole before they eat the red dragon in, while the rest of us need to go upstairs and get our other equipment. Zap pauses to pat Warthorn reassuringly on the shoulder. Don't worry, my friend. We won't let them destroy your livelihood. Thanks, says Warthorn, looking on in stunned disbelief. Much appreciated. And with that, that's the end of Scenario 1. So, like I said, it does come with a few scenarios. If you switch the state here, it actually has the second scenario. The stuff you need for the second scenario is also set up here. It had scenario 1 set up automatically for when you start the module, so I'll probably need to take some time to actually set up a module scenario 2 setup. But just a few things to point out as you progress in this, is you do unlock a bunch of new things. One thing you unlock in the scenario 2 is the armory, in which case you can pick all the items that you had that your characters have get added back to the armory, and you can choose which ones to take. So if you want to take something that the others were using, you can definitely do that. For the most part, they all do the same thing. It's either they reduce damage or they add damage. In the case of the masterwork, but it also adds the minor items as well. In which case there are 4 of each. So you can either bring with you a heal potion, a potion of scrapes and bruises, which is a shenanigan activation that you can use to heal yourself or an adjacent ally for 4. Or you can do Potion of Buzzing Energy, which is a shenanigan that will either give you Invigorate 4, which means you reduce all your cooldowns by 4, or you can do a Recharge 1. What Recharge does is it will allow you to put a charge back onto a card that uses charges. So in this case, it would put a charge back on Wings of Alana. Now, the other thing that also gets unlocked is your talent trees, as well as your various character upgrades. So, for example, got Deidra here. So each of the characters would have, for scenario 2, is they have the power tree, which they get 1 point to spend on it. Your first point has to be spent on one of the gold circles here. So you either can give yourself a starting shield or a starting damage token. Or is it power token? Damage boost token. Damage boost tokens are pretty self-explanatory. You can spend them when you make an attack to do extra damage. And then, of course, we've already talked about the shield tokens. There's also these other tokens here, which I am not entirely certain what they do. But we'll learn more about that as we go. In the case of Deidra, she gets some new... each of the characters also get new ability cards, which will get added to their ever-growing repertoire of abilities. Some things to note is this one also uses energy tokens. And then this one, I was actually really confused on how the symbol, that shield symbol, work. Because I was like, I saw the energy tokens, and I was like, oh, does this spin shields? I wasn't exactly sure how it worked. But supposedly, just having this ability gives you an extra shield. So essentially, for example, if you decide to go shield on Deidre's power tree, you would start with a shield from the power tree, and then a shield from the goddess is generous with her gifts. So that's one of the ways you can I guess spec out your characters and so forth. And each of the characters kind of get their own unique abilities. We'll go ahead and briefly look at the other 2 characters I was using. Obviously, there's a bunch of other characters to play around with. What happened to that? There it is. And there's also these other mechanics to deal with, as well as the new monsters as well. So we get to deal with all that as well. Anyway, so we got Eve's stuff here. You can see it starts a little bit different. I don't remember exactly how the Running Man token works. I believe they're called evade tokens. Yeah, I think the way evade tokens work is you can use it to avoid like additional effects from an attack, but I don't remember exactly. I'll know that by the time I do the next scenario, if and when I do it. Alright, and then for her thing, she gets the ability to use a shenanigan to place an illusion within range 4, which is definitely pretty helpful for Eve. I mean, her abilities are really strong. But her mechanic where she relies on illusions, for scenario 1, you don't actually get very many opportunities to use it, because it's very awkward, because it places an illusion at range, but her attack is melee, so it's just kind of messy. And then she has Flame Strike, which is a range 5 that does yellow +1 damage, and you may move the target and each foe adjacent to the target in an order of your choosing. So it's kind of like a mass move, though the damage itself is just a single target. Right, and then did we grab Fiona? Yes, we did. Fiona's look like this, so she can either go for defense or a shield token or get extra damage. And then she has, jeez, my mouse is just not behaving. And then she gets a bunch of shenanigans, which is actually really helpful for her because she was lacking shenanigans. And she actually starts with an additional damage token and an additional evade token, which is kind of nice. So her shenanigan lets her move 2 spaces with a 2-turn cooldown. And then she's got a range 3 pull 2 for 1 foe, which is also pretty cool. So she has ways to kind of help close the distance, which obviously as a melee character is pretty important. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I apologize if the video was a bit long, but I had to kind of explain a lot of things and deal with my mouse. So until next time, I'm Deidra, and this was Tales from the Red Dragon Inn. I'll try to remember to put a link for the Kickstarter as long as it keeps on going. By all means, check it out. This is on Tabletop Simulator, so also check out the module if you want to try it out before making any sort of financial commitments. So see you guys next time.